Hello, billionaires. Welcome to another episode of the Growth Factory. This is a place where we mint fresh billionaires for Africa, and our vision is to raise 1,000 African billionaires by the year 2035. That is clear, crispy, and we are pushing it one day at a time. Yes, the starting looks a bit slow, but somewhere along the line, we're going to have massive speed, and before you know it, you are follower, you are listener, will be one of those lucky people who will make that number and who says we can't actually make it 10,000 billionaires, right? Because really, the scale of the economy is increasing massively. Once the economy scales, the individuals also scale, and that is the way it is. So the economy of many nations are now scaling to trillions. What it means is that the individuals too will scale to trillions. That's what it means, right? So if the economy is scaling to trillions, you can have a billion of that share. How do you position yourself and your business to be able to have good share of your country's or the world's economy? Because really, you are not making money just from your own national economy, you are making money from the global economy. So, but the question is, why do you struggle? Why are you not able to scale? Why do you try to scale and everything crashes? Tonight we'll be answering that. So for a few weeks, we're going to be discussing the billion-dollar operating system. There is an operating system that makes billions sustainable, that makes scaling sustainable so that you can get to that point where achieving billions is a normal thing for your business, not just in revenue, but in retained earnings. Not just in revenue, but in retained earnings. There are people who do revenue of in billions, but when you look at the retained earnings, when you look at the value of their business, it's nothing to write home about. So it is not all about the revenue, how much flows through your system. It's about how much you have in your retained earnings, how much you can say this is the worth of your business at this time, right? So that is actually what makes riches, right? So structure or struggle, why your business cannot scale. So we'll be looking at some of these, right? But remember, let me remind you that our vision here at the Growth Factory is to catalyze a new generation of visionary African entrepreneurs, building 1,000 billionaires by 2035. And how do we want to achieve that? Through strategic education, structured support, and scalable ecosystems. We're committed to this. We are really, really committed to this. And that is why the education part will first go first because it starts from the mind. If you get it right in your mind, then whatever lesson, workshop you go to will be useful for you. But if you don't have the mindset of the billionaire and you don't have the thinking pattern of the billionaire, no matter how much money comes through your hand, it's going to fall through the cracks, right? So we don't want your money escaping through the cracks, right? So how do we want to achieve that mission? To equip MSMEs and emerging entrepreneurs with transformative knowledge, strategic tools, growth capital, and a supportive community that enables them to build sustainable, globally competitive businesses. So I want to say this: join or subscribe to our YouTube channel. It doesn't bite, it doesn't remove anything, but it's good for you. Why? Because every time we post, we share something, you'll be the first to get notified. You can quickly go and check it. Every week, you can be sure of good quality content that will stretch your thinking and make your business even more productive. That is guaranteed every week. And we also have some other events that will be coming up in the course of it. So I want to encourage you to join our WhatsApp community. Check the description for how you can be a part. And if you join our WhatsApp community, guess what? You also have the opportunity to join the live classes. That is a game changer for you. So you can ask your questions directly in the class. Good, good, good. What do we have for today? So today we are looking at 5 critical things. Now, one of the things you will always get on the Growth Factory, because this is a place where we manufacture billionaires, you will always get more value than you can get. Each of these, if we really want to go full scale, each of these can take 2-3 hours to deal with. But what we'll be doing is the general overflow. When we start our workshops, then we'll be able to help you in case you are not able to mint, to get all the juice from these trainings by yourself. Just watch out for our workshops. They are coming. They are around the corner. That point will be able to guide you through. You live with your own personal toolkit. But for the time being, enjoy all these free offers we are giving you, because really this is massive. This is massive. And I know when I say it's massive, right? Because these are things people pay through their nose to get, right? So enjoy it while it lasts. So vision architecture, we're going to look at that, category positioning, your core customer persona, your primary revenue engine, and your core growth constraints. So there are things that we don't allow any of some of these four things to work. We're going to close with that, right? So by the time you are done with this, you will understand why you're struggling and why your structure is very important, right? So let's get into it. The first thing is for you to clarify your vision, right? So one of the things we like to emphasize today is that we are not here discussing tactics. We are talking about how to create direction for your business, how you can ensure that your business has the right toolkit, right? Because the architecture is very important, right? It's like you want to build a business. If you want to build a business, you want to build a structure. Your blueprint has to be clear, right? So in our billionaire operating system, right? So one of the things we want to ensure is that you have the right architecture, you have the right blueprint that ensures that your building is intact. We did a series from the beginning of the year. We call it the Order series, right? I will encourage you to go through it at your leisure. Just take out time, right? Your objective, your review, your direction, your execution. So just take your time, go through those 5 steps. Very, very critical. Very, very, very critical. I'm telling you, it will change the way you think about your business. And this one is now helping you to build on the order. Once you have the structure, what are the things you need to pay attention to? We didn't touch this in the other series. One of the things that you will likely get from me, because that is actually my forte, right? I will hardly repeat content here. Some principles may look alike, but you can be sure that they are not the same. So the content will never be the same, because that is my forte, right? So you need to pay attention. So let's talk about clarity here today, right? Clarity here today, right? So scaling requires a long-term design. Scaling requires a long-term design. See, I want to tell you guys the truth. For some of us, we just feel, oh, let me just get to do something. Let me get to do something. It's not about just doing something. It's about the thing you are doing in the grand scheme of things. Where is it taking you? Billionaires don't just wake up and say, oh, I just want to do this. I want to do it because I feel like doing it. Oh, because this is what is en vogue. This is what everybody is doing. Nobody builds a sustainable business based on what everybody is doing. Who cares what everybody is doing? I don't care what everybody is doing. I care where I am going. Very critical, right? So institutions are engineered backwards from a destination. What does that mean? You already know where you want to get, and then you start walking backwards to get into that frame that gives you the result that you truly want. That is what we're talking about. So it's about what you want, not what you need. Need driven goals are goals that you pursue to get you to the next level. If you're thinking of billionaire, of being in the billionaire circle, it is not your next level. It is your most need, what you truly want. Like, this is the realm I want to operate in. It is a vision that stretches you, that breaks you, that keeps you awake, because you want to do something that is beyond you. That's what we're talking about. It's not about taking one step at a time, no. It's about taking giant leaps, giant leaps. And how do you do that? You don't start from here, next level, no. You start from the end. This is where you want to get to, building $1 billion or billions of dollars business infrastructure, in assets, right? That is the end. Then you now come to the front and say, okay, so now we know what the end looks like. So the question is now, this is where we are. Now you take a critical look at where you are, which was what we did last week. And we also did that at the other series. So you need to go back and watch the other series, right? Because I won't help you I won't go back to that in this class, right? So now you know where you're starting from, which is very critical. Then the question is, how do I get there? The first thing is to know what your 10-year narrative looks like. Who am I becoming over the next 10 years? For us at the Growth Factory, we've told you anyone who belongs to this community and believes in what we do and practices what we teach, I can guarantee you that if you become sold out to what we do in this community, your thinking will be so transformed that in the next 10 years, some of you will do it in 3 years, some of you will do it in 4 years, but I can guarantee you that you will look back 10 years from now and you will not even know that you have crossed the $1 billion mark in assets. Why? Because you constantly listen and belong to a community where they keep talking about how to scale, how to grow, how to ensure that your work is sustainable, your efforts are not wasted, to ensure that you have the right frame, the right system that keeps your business running even when you are not around. If you keep hearing these things, I tell you, there's something it does to your mind. It changes everything. It changes everything. So how do you build your 10-year narrative? Very important. The first one, what category will you dominate? Look around you. The guys we call billionaires. They are not just guys who do, just some shoddy kind of work. There's one of the things you notice about these guys is the dominance. They enter into a field. They are not just there to play like every other person. They are there to win. So what category of the market will you dominate? What category of your market do you want to dominate? Right. For us at the Growth Factory, we are dominating the knowledge space and we are equipping entrepreneurs. So when entrepreneurs are looking for a place where guaranteed that if I belong to this community, I know that I am going to scale, I'm going to move, 100%, 1,000,000%, right? Based on where I am now. So that is where we are. That is where we play, right? And every tool, every solution that comes out from here is geared towards ensuring that we achieve this objective. So what category will you dominate? You need to find your own category. Our work here is to point you towards that category, and we'll still talk about it in a short while. Then two, what problem will you be globally known for solving? What problem will you be globally known for solving? Whatever it is you are doing now, ask yourself, can this thing be global? What you are doing now, can you take it to Japan and people will receive you? Can you take it to China and people will receive you? Can you take it to the US? Can you take it to Russia? Can you scale beyond the borders of your community or the borders of your nation? Can you solve this problem globally? So if you think, and you should know this really, so do your research, ask questions, right? Go out and know what is happening out there and ask yourself, this work I am doing right now, can I sell it in US? Can I do it in UK? Can I do it in Russia? Can I do it in Canada? Will it sell in Turkey? So if you feel it cannot sell, let me tell you one thing, right? Now this is really personal. Whatever you are doing now may be a pointer to the next thing that they should be doing. There's no one that says that your first business should be your last business. Samsung did not start with electronics. Go and do your research. They did not start with electronics, but now they are like the orgas, the masters, right? When it comes to anything electronic, their phones are massive. They did not start with electronics. They observe the times and they change their business direction with the changing times. So nothing says that your first business must be your last business. You must be able to understand. And so the resources you are making now, you can then begin to prepare yourself for the next phase of evolution. So where you are now is not meant to be your last. If you're going to be global, whatever it is you do must be something that somebody in Antarctica can benefit from. Somebody in Australia can benefit from. Somebody in New Zealand can benefit from it, no matter how far they have from where you are. If you poach them, you sell to them, then they can buy whatever it is you do. Everybody all over the world are on Facebook, from any nation of the world. People are on Facebook, about 3 billion people, massive, right? So what problem will you be globally known for solving? Very critical. Global, that word. Number three, what scale are you operating at? What scale are you operating at? You can't be thinking of serving just a hundred people or 1,000 people. That's not something you want. So you can be operating right there now, but that cannot be your end. Is somebody getting me? Is somebody feeling me tonight? That cannot be your end. That can be your starting point, but that cannot be your end. Then number four, what systems must exist? What systems must exist if you're going to be going global? What systems will you build for you to be able to sustain your global relevance? And number five, what will make you hard to replicate or to replace? What is the uniqueness, the unique flavor you are bringing into the market that makes you different, that makes you unique, that makes it difficult for people to, to push you aside, right? So I wanted to pay attention to that. Very critical, very, very critical. I want to believe that somebody is learning from this, right? So I will have loved us to do some practical, but like I said, we're going to be having workshops, very soon we'll be rolling out the workshops, and then we'll really be able to do a lot more where we break these things down even more, and then you can live with your blueprint, you live with it with a book. That book is your blueprint, your operations blueprint, that yes, you are ready for what is coming, because what is coming is massive. Trust me, what is coming is massive and you don't want to miss it, right? So what will make you hard to replace or replicate? Think about that, right? Think about that, right? So once you clarify who you are and where you are going, then the next thing is to define your category. Define your category. Your category positioning is also very critical. So one of the things that I always tell myself is I don't want to be another option. I don't want to be another option. I want to be the option. I want to be the option. If you are too generic, if you are too general, if you are the everywhere or anyhow kind of person, I'm afraid you may have money, but you can't be significantly different from every other person. We're not talking about being comfortable here. We're talking about building a legacy that outlives you. Talking about being building a massive organization. That's what we're talking about. It's not just about just me having a few couple of thousands, and being able to travel the world. It's not just about traveling the world, right? It's about knowing that you've done everything that you can do and that you are the best in what you do. Knowing that you've done everything you can do and that you are the best in what you do. Once you understand your category and you are clear about it, it reduces your marketing friction. Once you understand your category, you are clear about your category, it reduces market. Let me tell you why. So, because marketing becomes more directional, it becomes more impactful. Why? Because you know exactly who you are trying to reach. So there's this book I've been reading, Attracting Perfect Customers. The book is massive. I will encourage you to get a copy of it. Attracting Perfect Customers. One of the thoughts in that book is that when it comes to attracting customers, it's not about you hustling to get everybody. It's about you positioning for people to be able to locate you. Many times we are running helter-skelter. So opportunities are looking for us. They can't locate us because they don't know where to meet us. If you want to attract the best, then just stay. Stay where you are. Don't move. Stop jumping up and down. If you've made strategic decisions, changes in your direction in the last 2, 3 years, you keep changing and changing and changing, chances are that you are not clear yet about exactly what you want. I'm telling you, chances are that you are not clear yet about exactly what you want. So create a new category. So how do you position yourself, as the option? Number one, you can create a new category. For example, we did not know that we needed mobile phones until not the Nokias of this world, the Sagems of this world came, back then in the 90s, the 80s, and of course to Nigeria around the late 90s and early 2000s, right? So we did not know that we needed phones. That was a new category altogether. See how phones have transformed how we live, how we love, how we relate, how we do everything. Phones have transformed us. It was a new category altogether. And then iPhones came and created a new category of phones altogether. The experience, right? So you can see that even in the phone industry, there is also categories in the new. So you can create a new category. You can create a new category. That's how to position yourself. We are not competing, we are just different, right? Just different. Then number two, you can redefine an existing category. People have been doing it before, but why don't you do it like this? They bring in your own flavor, and then you just change the you just change the narrative completely. You change the narrative completely. So we've been having cars, and then someone says, why don't we have electric cars? Right? We can have electric cars and we can make them easier, simpler, better, right? People have been going to Mars. Somebody says that people should be able to go to Mars as if they are traveling the world normally. And it says, I want to build the cheapest spacecraft that can take people to Mars, right? So it's redefining the categories been there. People have been going to Mars, right? We've been sending people, sending astronauts, right? But someone says, why can't people, normal human beings, go to Mars? I want to put people on Mars, right? That's redefining an existing category. You redefine it, right? Then number three, another way you can position yourself is to dominate a niche within a category. So there are different categories of customers, and you tell yourself, when it comes to maybe people within the range age of 16 or 30, or people within whose businesses are between 1 to 5 years, or so you focus on startups, and there are some who says, oh, I only deal with businesses that that are unicorns. I deal with businesses that have crossed the $1 billion mark, and I want to deal with them. Those are my, so you focus on a niche within a category. There are businesses who do less than $1 million. There are businesses who do between $5 and $10 million. There are businesses who do less than $100 million. There are businesses who do less than $500 million. There are businesses who do less than $1 billion. There are businesses who do $1 billion and above. So you see that among businesses, you can even create a niche for yourself and say, these are the people I want to be with, and I want to build with them, right? So I want to be a part of what they are building, and I want to help them to build what they are building. This is very critical, right? Very critical. So how, so you must be able to tell yourself, I want to dominate a niche within a category. So these are ways to position yourself. The question is, are you playing to position yourself, or are you just among the crowd doing what every other person does, right? Moving and going where every other person goes. If you go like every other person, you will be like every other person. You're not going to be different. And I hope somebody is getting something tonight, right? So let me ask you this question. What category do your customers think that you currently belong to? What category do your customers think that you currently belong to? You can write it down. Just write it down. It's a reflective question. Write it down. What category do your customers think that you currently belong to? And this is it. If your customers cannot clearly describe what you are, they cannot refer you. If people cannot define you, like, this is what I know this person for, this is what I believe he can do, this, so I've had quite a number of referrals. I've had people who approach me and say, I just wanted to coach me. I like what you do. They refer to the things that I do. They've seen me do. I've gone to do trainings for organizations before, purely based on recommendations, not what I decided to do or something, but somebody who had seen me, witnessed me before, and felt, wow, I like how this guy think. I think he can do this, right? So you need to be able to get to that point where your customers can directly define you. And guess what? After a while, if once you can define yourself like that, let me tell you what will happen. At first, it will look like nobody's seeing you again. Some people will be dropping off. But guess what? You will start attracting those people in that category who fit into your definition. And once you begin to attract them, then they start telling other people, they start telling other people. All you have to do is to do a good job once. Once you do it once and you do it excellently well, trust me, they will start bringing themselves. And then, boom, you're in business again. So I really recommend that you get that book, Attracting Perfect Customers. So it's one of the best books I've read in recent times. Actually, I've had the book a while, but I'm just reading it again. Very critical, right? Um, so how do you define yourself? Let me share a few tips with you, right? So you can do something like, you are the dash for a specific audience who want a specific result. You are the dash for a specific audience who want a specific result. So think about it. Who are you to what audience, and what result do they want? Who are you to what audience, and what result do they want? So once you understand that, voila, you realize that you different, you changing, everything around you, it's going to be totally different. That becomes the game changer for you, right? It becomes a game changer for you. Why? Because now you understand where you are dominating. Right. I hope somebody is getting value. Let me know in the chat room if you're getting value for our conversation. It's not like, oh, another person, trying to talk you into different things. Right. So please let me know in the chat room if you're getting value for this. I really want to have, that feedback. If you're feeling me, I also want to feel you. I also feel you, and one of the things I also like to say is that once you are focused, it actually reduces your customer acquisition costs, your cost of customer acquisition. Why? Because you will not be spending money to attract the wrong people. One of the reasons many of our marketing efforts fail is because we are trying to market the wrong people. How do you know the wrong people? They will price you to the very end. Eventually, they will not buy. The people who stress you the most are not your perfect customers. Most of your perfect customers understand your language, and they don't, once you just tell them your price, they move. Why? Because they understand your language. But once somebody is stressing you, asking 1 million questions, just know that they are not your perfect customer. Your perfect customer understands your language. And that's if you also fine tune yourself, to speak their language, right? Very critical, right? So another thing you need to do is to define, right, your customer persona, your ideal customer persona. I call it the ICP, your ideal customer persona. You need to understand that, right? Right. So if you're going to move on to building this foundation we're talking about, who is your Who is your customer? Do you know them? Can you describe them in words that 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 are pictorial, that has a picture like this is the person I'm trying, to attract, right? So a strong ideal customer profile must define at least five things. The industry or segment. What industry? What segment of the industry? Remember the last time I talked about the category. That's the category where they belong, right? What industry? What segment, right? What is their revenue range? What is their economic profile? I did that for businesses. You can do that for your customers too. What do they earn? What's their earning power? What's their earning power, right? If you want to be a billionaire, I'll tell you this. You need to start targeting people who can actually pay billions. So, two things. We'll still talk about liver. Don't worry. I'll talk about liver. Let me not jump over myself, right? Let me not jump ahead of myself, right? So, we'll talk about liver, right? But you need to be able to define the revenue range of the people you are trying to reach. What is their spending power? What's their so if you let's say you're into real estate, for example, and you sell houses within the range of 300 million to 1 billion, those are your range of houses. I don't think that selling to government workers would be a good idea, especially people in the lower grade levels. People in the lower grade levels, I don't think it would be a good idea. Why? Because that 200 million you just called, some of them cannot, at their salary in 10 years, I'm not sure many people between the levels 8 to 13 can boast of of a salary of 10 million naira per annum. I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm even being very generous right now for saying that, right? So if somebody cannot boast of 10 million naira per annum, how can you be selling a house of 250 million naira to that person? They will price you dry and they will not buy. Why? Because their revenue, their spending power cannot afford what you are selling. It's critical. You need to know who your customers are. So what's their revenue is? What's the economic profile? What are their pain points, their specific pain points, right? What are their specific pain points? I saw it coming now. Oh, okay. I'll find the details out. That's one of the advantages of being in the growth community. I will send the author. I will send it to you, right? I'm trying to remember it right now, but don't worry. I promise I'll send it in the growth factory community. So if you're not in the community, you miss it. Somebody asked me for the author of the book, but I'll remember it, right? So what are the specific pain points? Of the people you are trying to reach. What are their specific pain points, right? What are their buying behavior? How do they buy? How do they buy? Where do they buy? From whom do they buy? There are some people, their buying behavior is that they buy on loan, then they pay back later, right? When I was having my MBA, I interned with an organization that sells loans, and that's one of the ways that's how I understood how many of these guys live, right? So they buy the future and they pay back later. So they deduct from their salaries at the end of the month, over a period of time, of course, with a premium, right? So what is their buying behavior? So if what you are selling cannot make room for people to buy on loan, then they are not your customers. Very important. They are not your customers. Then what is the urgency level? Do you think that they need that thing so badly that they are ready to part with their money? See, if someone don't think that they need something so badly, you cannot sell to them. Have you observed that when you watch a marketing clip, somebody tells you that, oh, buy it now. So sometimes they will say they are doing maybe an offer, and they say, oh, if you buy between now and the next 24 hours, we're going to give you this, and this because we want you to buy. So what are they trying to create? They are trying to create urgency because the likelihood is that when the emotions are high, somebody would make a buying decision. So what is the urgency level for those people you are trying to reach? Do they see what you are selling as something urgent, something they need to get, something they are dying to get, right? So if you are defining your ideal customer like anyone who needs, I'm afraid you don't have an ideal customer profile yet. So think about it. Think about it, right? Think about it. We will go into the operations of these things at our workshop. So just pay attention on the growth factory. We'll let you know when we'll be having our next workshop where we'll break down some of these things and then how we can help you. So after you've identified your ideal client profile, the next thing you want to pay attention to is your primary revenue engine. What is your primary revenue engine? What is your primary revenue engine? Right? So I used to be like this. I'm serious. This is an open confession now. I used to believe that I can do a lot of things. Some of us believe that thing. We call it multitasking. Like, oh, I want to do A and do B and do C and do so many things. But I learned something not too long ago, really, not too long ago. Another book I read, right? Dan Sullivan, 10x is easier than 2x. 10x is easier than 2x. And the core principle of that book is that you must find one thing that if you do it so well and you excel at it, right, would make other things faster, easier, better, or irrelevant. Will make other things faster, better, easier, or irrelevant. So I sat down because I had to apply the book. In fact, I went on like 3 days retreat on that book. I was reading the book back to back, back to back. I'll still read that book twice this year. Right. So, and then I got to that point like, what was this? And the guy said something very critical. He said, if you really want to scale, you can't be doing everything. You can't scale at everything. No, you must find one thing that if you succeed at it, it makes other things you would have loved to do. It makes them easier, faster, better, or irrelevant. Irrelevant means kill it. When you find something that is working, then you kill the ones that are not working. The 20% that gives you the 80% of the result that you want. Once you find it, then you keep fine-tuning it until the 20% becomes the 80% that brings even more 80%. So that's how to scale. That's how to scale, man. That's how to scale. So when you have multiple small revenues, here and there, it dilutes execution. You are only one person. You are only one person. So and if you look at it, let's look at it together. Every scalable company you can see today has one primary revenue engine. For Dangote, is cement. The cement has produced a refinery today. It's the cement. The cement produced Dangote sugar, Dangote salt, Dangote pasta, Dangote, and then now has moved to refinery, one revenue engine. Right? Think about it. For Microsoft, it's the softwares, right? And then from the softwares, they add the HP laptops, they add different laptops, started working with different people, and then boom, now they are also very massive when it comes to, there's Microsoft Azure, so they're also into a whole lot now. But what is their primary revenue engine? It is their operating system, their OS, Microsoft OS. That is their revenue engine. To question, what is the one model that if you optimize it can scale 10x? What is one business model? What is one business model that if you optimize it, you do it really, really well, you do it really, really well the way it should be done, can scale 10x? Think about it. So why am I doing this? What am I doing right now? Because I know that in training, in passing information, I know that eventually there is something, somewhere, somehow right? That boom, I enter into some rooms and I can deliver these things. Boom, it changes everything for me, right? So this is like my primary revenue engine right now, right now. But what is yours? Very critical. What is that one thing that if you optimize it can scale 10x? You can scale it if you pay attention, you do it with everything you have. It can scale 10x. What is that one thing? You need to pay attention. You need to pay attention. You can't be everywhere, my friend. You can't be everywhere. No, no, no. You can't be everywhere. You're going to thin out. And once you thin out, it just affects everything. Affects everything. You're going to be playing small, right? So critical. And remember, I said something earlier. I know a couple of people joined the call right now, but let me just rephrase one of the things I said. I said, what you are doing presently does not have to be the thing you will do to scale to $1 billion. And I gave example of Samsung. Samsung did not start with electronics. There are many companies we know today that what they are doing now is not what they started with, but they change with the changing times. So as the times are changing, what you are doing is giving you the revenue to scale to the next level. Dangote Cement brought in the revenue that Dangote needed for the refinery, right? So I won't be surprised if the refinery then becomes the main business for Dangote right now, because whether we like it or not, oil is not going anywhere anytime soon, not in Africa, not anywhere in the world, to the point that some countries, some presidents are are kidnapping another president of a country over their oil. So you can imagine. So it's not going anywhere anytime soon. So I won't be surprised if the oil then becomes the new revenue and primary revenue engine for Dangote. I won't be surprised, right? So there is a time when you move, into the changing times. Very critical. So you need to know when to pivot into something different. If really you are serious about building a $1 billion enterprise, you need to know when to pivot and move into something else. If what you are doing now is not scalable globally, that was what I said, I remember now. If you cannot scale it globally, what you are doing now, can you sell it in USA? Can you sell it in Russia? Can you sell it in Japan, in China? Can you sell it in Sweden? Can you sell it in Switzerland? Can you sell it in Antarctica? If what you are doing is not global in appeal, I'm afraid you are not ready. Yeah, I'm sorry, you're not ready, right? So now the question also is, which lever can increase your engine revolution, right? So you driving your engine, but which of the levers do you need to pay attention to if you want to get to that point where you can easily scale? And I'm going to say this now. So pay attention to some of these levers. I was just thinking about them, right? One lever you want to pay attention to is your volume, the volume of sale. Now, MTN is a multi-billion dollar organization, but you know that we make calls in seconds. We make calls in seconds, right? I'm on a package where we do calls 11 calls per second, right? It's a business plan, right? So we make calls in seconds, but think about it. The volume of calls. So I can be on a call with someone for 10 minutes, for 15 minutes, for 20 minutes, for 30 minutes, for 1 hour, depending on the nature of the conversation, right? So but in that 1 hour, I might have done maybe like 1,000. Let's say I make 5 hours call daily. That's 5,000 daily, only me. Now, if you can then scale to reach out to 100 million people, and 100 million people spend a minimum of 100 naira per day, 100 million times 100, do the maths, man. That's volume. That's volume. So what you are doing, do you have the capacity to scale to volume? What Dangote does is volume, right? The Dangote pasta, volume, massive distribution channels. Dangote cement, volume, massive distribution channels, right? So you need to have massive distribution channels such that people can always have access to what you are doing, to what you're selling. So that is a lever that you can leverage on. If what you are doing is not something that volume can help, then you want to focus on price. Can you lever price? So you have different price levels. So you have for the entry level, you have the middle level, you have the premium level, right? So you can also scale with price, very critical. Another one is retention, ensuring that people who buy you always want to come back. Now, it's easier to sell to somebody who has bought from you before than to sell to somebody who has never experienced you. So if I tell you attend Growth Factory, if you have been here before, you will want to come. But if you're telling somebody else at Growth Factory, what does that mean? I beg you, leave this guy alone. I don't even know what he's doing. And so people are just saying, oh my, why? Because they have not experienced it before. But for someone who have experienced a Growth Factory, you want to come back. Why? Because you know it's a place you get massive value. No bullshit, no flaw, no bluffing. It's practical here, right? So how if you can increase retention, then it's a lever for your revenue engine. Then another one is, can you upsell? Upsell means that somebody bought maybe like I said, different layers, then you sell another product to them. You sell on that product, like, oh, you've bought this. Can you also buy this? If you buy on platforms like Jumia or many of these e-commerce websites, when you buy a product, they give you recommendations based on, they will tell you that people who buy what you are buying also buy, they give you like 3 or 4 things, right? What are they doing to you? They are upselling to you, because what they are giving you will be complementary to what, let's assume you just bought a pair of sneakers. They will likely tell you to also buy a t-shirt, or buy a pair of shoes, or buy belts, or buy, why? Because when you buy sneakers, they don't expect to just wear sneakers alone. They also expect that there should be something that complements the sneakers. And if you buy sneakers, you probably want something else. That is upselling. So are you able to upsell in what you do? That also helps, to be able, to meet up. So think about some of the things we've talked about here, and then I believe very strongly that that they are going to be very useful for you. So let's take one more, right? So I'll just brush over this. I know that we started a bit late, so I don't want to stretch it beyond the time. So, what are your growth constraints? What is one thing currently limiting growth? Maybe I would have loved us to discuss this, right? And the question is, until you solve the primary constraint, everything else is noise. If you are trying to move when there is something that is hindering your movement, it's going to be noisy. It's going to be noisy. It's going to be noisy. When I was coming back from my place of worship yesterday, there was this car that overtook me, you know, and I had some really loud noise when the guy was going. And what happened? The engine seat cover, there's this plastic that, covers the engine. The thing had probably, gone out of place in the guy's car. And it was, dragging all over. I don't know why the guy would not just stop and fix it, because of course the thing can pull. Yes, it might not affect the engine, but then he still needs to go and buy it. That's more money for him. He could just, stop, fix it, or just push it up and manage it to where it's going, but the thing is noise. Why? Because it is something that is out of place. So what are the things that are out of place in your business? For some people, it is your lead flow. How do you generate lead, right? For some people, it is conversion. People are asking, but they are not buying. Why? You need to find out what is preventing them from buying, right? For some people, it is capacity to deliver. People are asking, but you don't have the capacity to meet their needs. That's another problem on its own, right? And you know what it means. Once waiting time increases, people will be looking for someone who can deliver faster. And once you lose them, that is it, right? So the team skill, do you have a team that can deliver on the results you are trying to sell, you're trying to push? And the capital, do you have the capital to push what you are trying to do? So those are some constraints that I just thought to share, right? So I think with that, we we'll just close. So I'm giving you this as as a giveaway, think about it. So you can create your one-page billion-dollar blueprint. What is your 10-year narrative? If you miss that, at the end of this conversation, we're going to upload this video to YouTube. For people in the Growth Factory, you have the opportunity to witness it first time, first hand, but the replay will be on YouTube, so you can go back and watch it again and again. At the end of the day, you should be able to create this from the conversation we had today. Your 10-year narrative, your category position, which category do you want to belong, your ideal customer profile, what is your summary, who are you trying to reach, your revenue engine, and your core constraint, because you need to identify why you are not moving the way you thought you should move. So thank you so much for being a part of the Growth Factory tonight, right? Can I take one or two comments before we close? I like to take comments before we close, right? So anyone wants to share with us, what's your key takeaway from our conversation tonight? And have you identified something you're going to do differently, based on the conversation tonight? I always like to ask this question because it's not all about what I have to say, but it's also about what you've gotten out of the conversation. So I won't mind anyone who wants to share their thoughts tonight, right? Anyone, Sam, Steve, oh, Tolu, good to see you, my brother from another mother, right? Good to see you on the call. Thank you. Wale, welcome. Babs, welcome. Oh, Mr. King, welcome. Right. So anybody wants to share their thoughts with us, right? Just go ahead and share what is one takeaway from tonight's session. You know what I found, if you can talk about it, the likelihood is that you will do it. If you can put it into, this is 1, 2, 3 things, then the chances of doing it increases once you can pinpoint it. So who is going for us? Who is going for us? Who is sharing their thoughts? Who is sharing their thoughts? Anyone?
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir. Good evening.
Good
Please go ahead.
evening, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, I have a lot of takeaways, but what I call actual points. So my actual point now from what I've seen, the reason I'm doing is it can go global, like you said, uh, but generating leads, I think I really need to work on that. Like your last statement, generating leads is a big issue for me, a big issue. And generating lead, but it's not bringing a result, which means I'm not doing enough. So I plan to work on that going forward. That is one of my takes from this meeting. Thank you.
All right, amazing, amazing. Because the more leads you have, the more conversions you have. And like we said, the leads should be quality leads. Quality in the sense that they are the people you intend to target. Remember, I said that if you are talking to people who don't appreciate your product or your service, or who cannot buy your service, that means something is wrong with your marketing. If the people that are coming to inquire are people who cannot buy, or who don't need, or who don't have the urgency, then that something is wrong with your marketing communication. So let's refine the marketing communication, right? So that we can attract the perfect customer. Attract the perfect customer. And once we're done, I'm going to share. I'm going to share the book. I'm even trying to see if I can look at it now, right? So anyone else who wants to share with us, let's take one more comment, right? Anyone else who wants to share their key takeaway from tonight's session? Anyone else? Anyone?
Hello, good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening. Who is on the
Yeah,
call?
thank you,
Okay,
Pastor Ayo.
Wale Isaac. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for the label. We appreciate it. And I joined so late, but where I met, it's all about the book you asked me to get, that book. So I joined immediately when you were discussing about the book, when you mentioned the book. And I think that's one of the priorities for me for now, because I think like we discussed, although that's a private meeting anyway, that one of the most confused people sometimes on earth are the most gifted people. That you have many abilities and you don't really know the one to focus on. And I think that is really going to be stressing and it's going to be a sacrifice, like you said, because the key point that I pick is that until we succeed in that very one thing, understand, we may not really succeed in the other if you are trying to chase like 10 birds at a time. So, but if you focus on one, the one we focus on can then give birth to the rest. It's not as if that we should forget the rest because it's still part of the potential, it's still part of the ability, it's still part of the ideas that God has given to us. So they are not a waste, but they are time bound. So there is a time and season for those things to manifest. But if you put them before their time, they may eventually kill the main thing that should shoot the rest forward. So I think that's my key point for tonight, to focus on the major so that the major can give birth to other things. Thank you, sir.
All right, all right. Thank you so much for sharing that. I truly appreciate that because that's one thing, focusing on your that thing that gives you your revenue engine is very, very critical. So I shared the book already on the Growth Factory. The authors are Stacy Hall and Jan Brognes. Stacy Hall and Jan Brognes, right? So I already shared the book. They call it the power of strategic synchronicity, right? So once you put your face out there and you focus on the kind of people you want to be talking to, trust me, it's a matter of time before you start attracting those people. And when it comes to building a business, it is not so much first about quantity, it's first about quality. The quality will produce the quantity. If we chase quantity first, they will drive away quality. So, all right, all right, all right. Thank you everyone for this. And I always like to talk about my book. If you know someone who needs this, please reach out to them and tell them to get it. By all means, the strategic marriage is a 12-week mentoring program for couples to position their marriage for global impacts. And if you're thinking you want to go into family life coaching, then you should get the coaching part, which comes with 6 weeks coaching 6 sessions of coaching, and of course, also with a mentoring program. Very powerful and very critical. So I want to say a big thank you to everyone. Remember, subscribe at the Boardroom NG. It doesn't bite. Share the video. I'm going to upload it later tonight. Please share with somebody, share with someone. Join our growth factory. That's bit.ly/100x_growth. So join the community. So I want to say a big thank you to everyone and see you at the next episode. Bye. I still remain yours. I'm Delia Yobankoli. My folks call me DAB. See you at the Billionaire Roundtable. All right. Bye bye, everyone. I'm so glad to have you here. Bye bye.